reminds me of myself when I was her age. She's the youngest entrepreneur I have ever met. I'm so happy to introduce you all to the youngest guest at my show. Meet Anousha Datta, an entrepreneur from Kolkata. I'm going to find out more about her, her journey, and her future plan. So let's go and meet her. Hello, Anousha. Welcome to LeadHers Showcase. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, entrepreneur at 17 years? Really? Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm very happy to say it is very, very true.
So, when and how did you decide this was your path? And what motivated you to be an entrepreneur?
So this entire journey, actually, like the entire entrepreneuring journey,
Mm-hmm.
started a couple of years back when I was, I think, maybe 13 or 14 years old. When my sister, when she was 17, set up her own like confectionery startup called Chocolatal. So that was when I was really introduced to the entire business of startups and entrepreneuring and everything. And I like to say that I did, help my sister along with her startup, helping her. So it was a bakery, a confectionery startup. So obviously a lot of baking and making desserts. So it was a lot of fun. So that was my first exposure to like the startup world. And it really gained traction during the pandemic when I realized that, looking around me, I was guilty of it. I looked at my friends and they were guilty of it. Just guilt snacking. That's the first thing that I think hit everyone across all age spectrums when it came to the pandemic, because you're sitting at home, you have nothing to do, you eat, you eat, you eat, you eat, right? And we wanted to sort of change that. We wanted to be eating but healthy eating, snacking but sustainable snacking that really, you're not just eating for the health of for the just like that. You're not just eating, you're actually getting some nutrition into your system while you're eating. And I saw that problem with myself, the fact that if I'm hungry, I turn to basically processed junk food. And I realized that's not what snacking should be all about. Snacking should be getting nutrition into you while going about your daily life. And that's how bullet food was conceptualized, to really come up with sustainable snacking for everyone.
Amazing. I'm sure your biology and your physics chemistry teacher will be so impressed and so happy with you because you are really putting the subjects into very good use. So tell me so you mentioned your venture is all about sustainable and healthy snacking, nutritious, snacking. So who are you solving this for? Is it for your generation, for your age group, your peers, or is it for people like your parents or, a bit older generation? So who's the target audience?
So there were three groups of people who really needed that boost of energy at any time of the day, which was number one, obviously, students, whether you talk about college students, school students such as myself, they need it. Number two, working people. It is very, very like, especially between your 20s and your 30s, you're looking at healthy snacking, and that's what we were looking at. And thirdly, we were actually kind of planning to go into the whole military side of it, like maybe try and uh, not like I don't really want to say military, but people in the army, they're always on the go, they're always having to do very strenuous exercises, always on the move, right? And they really need that kind of food that balances out their really tough regimen. So this is obviously, I mean, we can't just bring it on something as important as, the army, because obviously they have their own sort of a diet that this might not fit into. But yeah, we were after, after the startup really gets going, we were looking at focusing on those segments as well.
Fabulous. So, who is on this journey with you? Do you have mentors or co-founders? Are you doing it all by yourself? Uh, do you have investments? So, have you received any investments, or are there any external investors to your venture?
Currently, my only co-founders are my parents, because this idea started after in the house itself. That I because the first people in my mind to whom that I went to were my parents with this idea. So currently, it's my parents and I. I come to them with ideas. They come to me with ideas. And we ideate, trash it out, make it something viable. But and investments so far have again been from our pockets itself. But we are looking for external investments now because we're coming up with a lot of new initiatives within the company, which will need external investment, as well as the tech part of it. The website, we're wanting to have social media teams, really make it a up and running startup, which is why we will be needing investors. So we are looking at external investors currently.
My God, I'm amazed at your age. You are talking like a grown up, like a seasoned entrepreneur. So, how did you convince your parents to come and join the force with you? As in, you are in grade 12, right? So, there must be
Yes.
some sort of a pressure of studies. Um, the parents must be really tensed about your upcoming board exam. I'm very keen to know how did you sell the idea to them first, because there must have been a big convincing on your part to do for them. So how did you do that?
One of the funniest things about this is that when the pandemic hit, I was just entering class 10. So that was like literally the first board year for everybody in the country, right? And it was during my first board year that I came up with this idea. And to sell it to my parents didn't really take that much of time and effort because both of them were like, from the get go, they're like, oh, you want to do a startup? Go ahead, do it. We're so proud. I will be there. So convincing them wasn't really a challenge because it was all really there. I knew they would say yes. Both of them are in the startup environment. So I think having a daughter who said, okay, I want to do a startup, having both daughters saying that actually kind of really was easy to sell. And with the whole board exam thing, I think firstly because I've spent so much of time ideating about this, I've also spent a lot of time figuring out how to really, plan my days, how much time to give to the company, how much time to give to my studies, because then again, like you said, very important here. Can't really go out of this balance over here. So yeah, definitely. I think my teachers will be very happy to know that I've already kind of planned out my studies over here. So nothing's getting too much of attention, but everything's getting enough attention. So yeah, everything's thrashed out.
Oh, how nice, how nice, how nice. So it's really heartening to see, you're managing your studies as well as your duties of an entrepreneur, side by side so well. So, what is, what is one thing you wish the world understood better about young entrepreneurs to be more supportive towards you?
I think when people hear about young entrepreneurs, people just look at the fact that, oh, you're young, you'll do this for 1 or 2 years, and then you'll forget about it when you go abroad or whatever. You forget about it once you go out of school or once you're bored of it or something. At least for people, like for me, I can talk for myself. I can't talk for every young entrepreneur over here. But for me, I see that today when I have something at stage one, you know, I'm looking at certain concepts, certain ideas. But as I grow, as I go out, as I go to college, as I go study more, it really helps me to grow, like bring my startup forward, right? I mean, it is so underrated how much you can learn from your surroundings. Today, if I go down to the fish market near my house tomorrow morning, I will learn so much about business. It might actually help me apply to my own food business. There is so much that you can learn, and the more I go outside, the more I learn about things, the more I can spread my own message of bullet food. So I think one thing that most people think about young entrepreneurs is that we're just here for the short run. We're just here to do this for 1 or 2 years and then just forget about it and go ahead with our lives. And that is not what we're about. Because I mean, time and time again, it's also been said that, this generation is the next generation, is going to be bringing the world forward. And I think young entrepreneurs are a very integral part of the stepping stones for that. right? You need innovation, you need change, you need young, fresh minds to really bring forward that idea of a better, more progressive world. And I think young entrepreneurs, startups, sustainability, all of this really contributes to that.
Amazing. So tell me something. So because we are talking about, young entrepreneurs and young blood, young ideas, what is one thing you wish to change in this world? Something that generation older than you, something that we missed or your previous generations did not do correct. So what would be that, one thing in this whole world you would like to change? What would be that one thing?
I think this is something that number one, the startup is also looking to address. And number two, I think the world itself is slowly beginning to process, which is sustainability. You hear it everywhere today, and yet I don't think it's being given that that attention that it deserves. Because if you look at statistics, and I am kind of guilty of doing this in the middle of the night when I go through an existential crisis, statistics of the world ending or climate change or something, and then you always end up with importance of sustainability. And although numerous internet sources have assured me of the fact that the world is not ending anytime soon, forward that is making the best of what we have, not really taking for granted what we already have. And I think sustainability contributes to that in a big way. And I don't think this is like the fault of any generation or so, but I think everybody has their own role to play in this whole sustainable outgame. Where until maybe a century ago did we really figure out that our resources are depleting. And to most people, a century might seem like a long time, but when you're looking at it environmentally or you're looking at it from a scientific point of view, a century isn't actually that long, right? So I think if you look at it from that lens, we've only just begun the journey of making the earth a greener place. And sustainability is something that's really important. And even to us as a startup, I've been talking about sustainability ever since the interview started. But I mean, we are doing a lot of steps to ensure sustainability in our startup. So what we're currently looking at is like this uh, little initiative called the Back to Soil initiative, because we're taking so much from the soil, right? Our entire startup is based on food, so we're basically taking everything from the soil. So you should give it back something, and not just carbon dioxide, something that's important. And I think one of the best things that you can give back to soil is seed, because soil literally exists to grow things, and seed is the beginning of life. So we're coming up with a little initiative called the Bar to Sow, or the Back to Soil initiative, where the packaging that we're using is made from soil soluble material. And what this really helps us to do is that we have seeds from any plants. Suppose you have tulsi seeds, and you take those seeds and you put it in the soil soluble material, you embed it, and it becomes this sort of papery texture, which you can use to package your ingredients. And because most of our ingredients are dry, the soluble aspect isn't really a worry. And then you sell it. So when the consumer gets it, they're getting the nutrients, they're getting everything healthy from inside, from what's inside the packet, but they're also getting to contribute to the environment by just tearing a little bit of the packet out and putting it into a little pot on their garden, in their veranda, on their terrace, and growing a little plant of their own. And so, it's all about sustainability. We're giving back to the source that it came from, that your food comes from. And we looked at, and because we're looking at so much about sustainability, we looked at what the world is doing for sustainability, and we figured out, we came across the UN SDGs, which is basically the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we were very happy to see that out of everything that we're doing, two of the UN's goals actually kind of meet with our goals. So, which actually made me very, very happy to see that. So there was goal number 3, which was good health and well-being, which we're all about health, we're all about well-being, and I think health kind of kind of contributes to your well-being at a very grassroots level. So we have that, and we also have goal number 12 of the UN SDG, which is responsible consumption and production, which is what I just explained to you. We're having responsible production because we're sourcing directly from villages, the village packet within, the whole seed, the soluble packaging. And it's also responsible consumption because number one, you're responsibly consuming healthy food, and number two, you're using the packaging of it to also contribute to the environment. So it's responsible consumption and production, it's good health and well-being. So I think if we're looking at the world around now, sustainability is a big thing, and sustainability is very important. And I think little startups like this can really help bring forward that idea, that goal.
I'm absolutely thrilled to hear all this. So, Anusha, I'm going to look forward to your products on the shelves, on all the websites, shop shelves. So, wish you all the very best for your launch. I hear it's sometime very soon. So, wish you all the very
Yes,
best.
yes.
And
Thank you so much.
yes, I would like to say, go grab it. The world is your oyster. You got the right guidance. Your parents are there, your teachers, everybody's guidance, your own ideas, conviction in what you're doing is good for the environment and good for the world. So go get it. For you all, please like, share, and subscribe to Leader Showcase to meet more interesting and inspiring leaders going beyond the ordinary. Their great determination and their story is going to inspire you. See you again soon. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, Anusha.